Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, or Tank12, and I'm reporting back after my long absence of videos. Pretty much 3 weeks, no stuff, but rather busy. And to be honest, I didn't really feel like making any content because the people that were out in World of Tanks, it was terrible. The last 3 weeks, it was full of bullshit. Um, really made me angry playing this game, and this was one of the matches that really made me angry. And yeah, well, today's topic is going to be platoons and how they affect matchmaking. Now, before I'm gonna start this video, since we're still here at the loading screen, not loading screen, but the pre-game startup, which is also known as loading screen. We're here at Pearl River, which is a standard battle, and of course you can see, now don't really mind the colors. Colors are not very important in this game. This is all just, I mean, statistics, efficiencies, those are all numbers. Everything can be different while in the game. It's theory against praxis or practice, and that doesn't always mean that theory is going to be right if practice is going to be can be a complete different thing. So, but what I want you guys to know right here is that since wargaming, well, platoons have been a part of this game for a very long time now since it's been released. Before you had premium, there was only one way to platoon, and that was with, well, you could platoon with one other guy, so you'd be a platoon of 2 people. But if you wanted to platoon with 3 people, you needed premium. I'm glad that they took that out because it pretty much gave the option and gave more freedom to all the players so that everybody could play and platoon with 3 people, and they didn't have to pay and get premium for that. Props to Wargaming for doing that. Like, I don't know, 2.5 years ago or no, 3 years ago, when this game came out of the closed beta and started the open beta in 2011. Well, it's actually 4 years ago, yeah, but whatever. So I have to stop it real fast to get back on track. Well, platoons are actually a good thing, right? You can play with your teammates, you can play with your friends, and you have somebody who you can trust in the game, and it's not all random. Like right now, if you look at the scoreboard here, all these people, I don't know any of them. It's all random, completely random. Matchmaker rolled some dice, got the same tiers, some differences, different vehicles, tank destroyers, heavy tanks, medium tanks, all rolled up in one match. And most of these people are random, except for the platoon 1 here on this team, platoon 1 and 2 on the other side. Now, where's the problem that? Um, Platoons are a great thing, first of all, as already said. Everybody can play with their friends. But they're also a big problem for balancing. Platoons tend to have the the effect that the players rather play for themselves instead for the team, which you can see very nice displayed at the platoon 1. If you look at platoon 1 in my team, you have the IS-2. Wait, where's the IS-2? Why doesn't it show where he is? So, no. So you have the IS-2 up front, you have the T-20 over here, and you have the Hellcat up here. So all these tanks are pretty much at the same place, same area. Now, a lot of times when people platoon up, they have different tiers, different tanks, usually only about like 1 tier difference, or maybe a heavy tank and a tank destroyer, which of course every tank has their separate, different, and very specific role for each game and for each map. That means that for my case, right here, I'm a medium tank, so I'm a T69. I'm sorry, the gameplay is rather short, but it really shows you the impact of platoons in this game. Um, just gonna slow it down a bit. And you can see I'm playing the T69, which is a medium tank. So that means I will be able to flank around and put some pressure on the enemy, but I cannot be in the main engagement against those tier 8 heavy tanks because I would not stand a chance. Pretty much I'm also a medium tank or an autoloader in that case, who is very vulnerable as soon as he is clipped all his shots out. So you can see that pretty much this game only works if everybody in their tank, in their very specific tank, knows their very, very specific task that is on each map very different. So that means you can see the middle part where heavies and medium tanks can brawl. This part where pretty much heavy tanks should usually push, and this part where usually medium tanks dominate because it's a big open space. You can be maneuverable, you can use your agility and use this cover for yourself, and also it's rather far away from the base, so that means that it will take you rather long with a heavy tank to get to this spot. Also with tank destroyers, like tank destroyers can sit at any place pretty much on this map with some cover, protect the base from here, and if they have to brawl, they can go up in there and brawl. Now with platoons, pretty much this changes us all because platoons usually like to stick together. People who platoon want to play with each other, so that means they protect each other, play together. They do not separate most of the time. Now that is not always a bad thing, but it is a bad thing if you are playing a very specific tank, a medium tank that is needed somewhere at one specific location, and you are not there because you're in a platoon and you're sitting somewhere with the other heavy tanks. Now this is a very, very, very big problem. Now, well, you can see why XVM is great in this case, because a lot of people that platoon are usually green players, unicums, gray players with good efficiency, those big stats, those big shots, whatever you want to call them. And they usually platoon up and they play for themselves. They don't play for the team. All they do is they get into their tank, they roll together, three people who really sometimes, well, most of the time, know the game and are very, very effective. And it's pretty hard to either, first of all, it's hard to stop them. And second of all, it's a big problem for your team if they kind of, play for themselves and you're pretty much sitting at one spot trying to hold off an enemy front like I'm doing right here, and everybody's suddenly just disappearing. I had an M4 over here a second ago. I had a Su-152 and a tank destroyer, and the KV-85 is actually trying to help me, but all the other people have left. Now, that doesn't mean that these guys are all in a platoon. It doesn't mean that they're bad. They just, disappear because they wanted to maybe flank, whatever. So you can see me getting overwhelmed here. Why am I getting overwhelmed? Well, first of all, I knew that at the beginning of the match that the enemy team had a couple of platoons of medium tanks, and I knew that this was a very, very popular round or popular place for medium tanks. Actually, this was one of my mistakes. I should have pinged it out at the beginning of the match that this corner over here is definitely going to be overrun by medium tanks. But I didn't write that into the chat because I did not really have a good day, and you'll see that later in the chat. So you can see I'm an autoloader tank. I made a big mistake. I shouldn't have been that far up ahead, and I've got taking a beating, and I'm still reloading right now. So what you can see over here is that the medium tanks, as I expected, the platoons are both pushing this one way, and you can see this platoon, like they're 4 tanks. Actually, there are 6 tanks, no, 7 tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 tanks that push one entire front line. And out of these 7, 5 are in the platoon. And no, 6 are actually in the platoon. No, 5 are in the platoon. Platoon 2 only consists of 2 people. And 5 of those people are in the platoon. That means that you by yourself, because the communication in this game is just, you cannot use voice commands, and a lot of people ignore chat, and you could even deactivate chat. I'll have to see that real fast. I think you can deactivate chat. Yeah, disable battle chat in random battles only. Well, actually, you can disable the chat, which pretty much is useless for you, because if you're pinging one point of the map and you're asking for help, these guys don't see it. And a lot of people do that actually, because it's rather annoying if you have one guy who's just pinging one map the entire time, one part of the map, and of course a lot of people just disable the chat and they never enable it again. Now, as you can see over here, these platoons, now, they're unicums, or whatever, green players, they're good players from the statistics at least. Um, they of course know what they're doing, so they're communicating, they're playing together, and they're actually rolling me right now, because I do not have any support, and everybody on my team is somewhere else. They're at the base or in the middle of the map, and you can see I had a very bad day that match. I'm sorry if I am a little bit offensive right there. It happens from time to time. I cannot control my temper. And you can see that these guys are battling over there. And of course, the medium tanks, this huge roll, this gigantic mass of tanks, has no problem, even though they're 2 tiers lower than me. Yeah, excuse myself for that very, very, very ignorant kind of speech there. You can see that my team just, I think I have to stop it because I actually left the game after that. That my team is not faring too well. And you can see the power of platoons right here. Now, if you're on your team, have a platoon, they can do the same, but platoons are actually, they're a great thing, but they can pose a big problem as of right here. These platoons here, they did the smart thing, and they played together as a team and pretty much decimated on one flank. So that pretty much means that anybody who is not in a platoon is almost automatically in a very, very bad spot, because the communication in a one game is very, very bad. And if you have a platoon of these very good players who, usually like to play in platoons, and there's this very wide known thing that great players love to play in platoons, that's their only thing that they are doing, they're only playing platoons, and that's why their win rates are so high. And it's just a thing in World of Tanks. Now, if you're not in a platoon, you're kind of in a bad situation. Now, another problem here is that, well, I have to think about it real fast. I just forgot the point. Sorry about that. It's a little bit late. Decided to do this video very spontaneously. And yeah, well, with all these platoons going up, these very good players, it raises the question once more, because a lot of players, there are a lot of new players to World of Tanks. There are a lot of bots in World of Tanks, still one of the big issues. But they have been banning a lot of potential. Okay, I'm gonna be very careful here. They have been banning people who look like bots and who were bots, but of course there was only limited amounts of bans, and these bans were only for a very limited amount of time. That doesn't mean that they're banned completely. Only very, very obvious bots were banned. So do not worry. People who were just playing very, very badly, sometimes being AFK a lot, were banned for maybe 1 or 2 days from playing, and afterwards, they could be back on the game. But this raises another question, with all the different kind of skills in this game, since everybody is playing against everybody. That means that a lot of new players face very good players in certain situations, especially in the lower tiers. Oh, actually, the game just stopped. Now, I'm going to be coming to an end anyways right now. So this problem is that these players, the new players, get beaten the crap out of by the good players, which probably ends in pop stomping, seal clubbing, all those nice words that they use, and takes out the fun out of a lot of matches. Now, I'm not here to it's not my right to punish anybody who is good in the game. That's just the case. If you're bad in the game, you're bad. If you're good at the game, you're good. If you're bad, you can still do better by learning or whatever. And if you just can't get any better, well, maybe the game is not for you. Or if you still are having fun, that's no problem. Um, but the thing is, maybe they should implement skill-based matchmaking. Now, with they could use some certain criterias, damage done per match, best tanks, win rate, and all that kind of stuff, and they could match up these people by looking at the different skill level, but they do not have any factor at the moment that could really put up a match consisting of skill-based matchmaker like in other games, Counter-Strike for example, League of Legends. They're all different, but the problem is that I think there are enough people out there, but it would be a lot harder to find other players, and it would be a lot more challenging for the good players who are platooning right, who are usually platooning, who like to platoon and are really very successful with their platoons. There's going to be a lot of people opposing this idea, and I can understand that too. So pretty much to wrap this all up, platoons are a great thing for this game. It allows you to play with your friends, but they can sometimes really hinder the entire experience for the persons who are not in the platoon. Let's put it like this. It's very neutral, I think, and it's rather hard to find a solution to this little problem. Maybe you could put two equally matched platoons who are the same skill level together on on the one side and on the other side, and it would even things out again. But that is now the problem again with matchmaker. You would have to make it a lot more. It would be a lot harder to make matchmaker possible, and it will get a lot more complex. That's the thing. So yeah, so I hope you guys liked this video. It didn't take me long. It's very spontaneous, but I hope you got the points that I'm making. The last video I did make with Swamp was just pretty much terrible. I took that one off because the camera work was horrendous. I will take a look back into that. I heard the map will change in 9.9, and also the test server has been released, so I'll be taking a look into that. Also, if you're interested, World of Warships has just been launched, and I'm streaming that game on my Twitch channel, and I'll be playing a bit in that game, and I'll be separating World of Warships and War Thunder and World of Tanks from each other. I'll be playing World of Warships and War Thunder on Twitch, and I'll be streaming that there. And I'll be playing World of Tanks on YouTube. Well, at least I will be uploading videos on YouTube for your guys' viewing pleasure. And also, I will be starting some different things. So, World of Tanks will maybe be featured a little bit less on my channel, but do not worry, it's still my main game. But I've been planning some things. So, yeah. So, I see you guys later.